morning.
The Restaurant Morning Show.
Here we are.
Here we are. You know,
this doesn't look familiar, though.
No, we're not in the studio, and I think the interesting point that I want to make is, even though we're these world famous podcasters, right?
Yeah.
Global. We actually run 3 restaurants right now, and sometimes they deserve a little bit more attention. And so we are on site at our Jacksonville Beach location because there is a huge golf tournament taking place this weekend. What is it?
The 5th major, as it's lovingly called. It's the Players.
The Players.
At TPC Sawgrass here in Ponte Vedra.
Sure. So we have a buyout of the restaurant. I think it's Morgan Stanley. 80 people buying it out, and they are a major sponsor at TPC, and we are...
And coming back for a second year.
Yeah, ecstatic to have them. Perfect.
Yeah, good.
And hey,
so what's happening?
The morning show, we always talk about headlines and then we roll into something. And what I'd like to talk about today is something that's so important, and it's called personal development, staying ahead in a competitive market.
It never stops.
It
should never stop.
It should never stop.
But as usual,
let's get into some headlines.
Yeah, I got a couple
anything
cool,
that pique your interest?
Yeah, news topics that are focused on the independent restaurateur.
Sure.
So this came across. My assistant found this for me.
Okay.
Out of Denver, Chef Jose Avila runs and owns the renowned Mexican restaurant La Diabla, and he's expanding, but he's not expanding La Diabla. He bought a plaza, and he's going to put 5 micro concepts in the plaza.
Okay.
It doesn't say what they're going to be, but I just thought it was a neat way, if you're looking for growth, but maybe there's not room in your community for a second one of your restaurants.
Okay.
So maybe just a different way to think about growth is opening, I know there's plenty of restaurateurs that have multiple concepts, but I thought the micro concept, all right next to each other, maybe he can do some shared space, shared walk-ins. Right. Who knows? I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
Also, Restaurant News is saying independent restaurants are demonstrating resilience and innovation. Well, number one, I don't think that's news, because independent restaurants always have to demonstrate resilience and innovation. I feel like it is a little bit of survival of the fittest.
Right.
We talked in the past about staying current with technology, but the challenges are still there. But what I thought was neat on the backside of that is 2025, when we're just in March, has already shown a surge in restaurant openings, in new independent restaurant openings.
That's awesome.
So, a lot of those players won't be there a year from now, but some of those players will be. And if you're not on all of your points, then you may need to watch out. So, again, survival of the fittest for independent restaurateurs. And just watch out for the guy next door.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So that's what crossed my desk.
Oh, cool. Well, a couple things crossed my desk, and I want to bring it back home because we do operate restaurants, and we are certainly not perfect. So I want to circle back around to the technology point and how we talked about guest experiences. But once again, in the news, Starbucks, and I know we've talked about it, reducing their menu up to 30% by September.
Yeah.
Just to streamline operations. And one of the things, because they said they have long lines. And I remember you saying the last time that you went there, you had to wait in line.
For a black coffee.
Right, yeah. And then I thought it was interesting also, we both cut our teeth working for Outback Steakhouse.
Yep.
A great company, but also in the news along in this article was that they're looking to cut 10 to 20% of their menu items.
Well, you've talked about Spartan menus and the concept of Spartan menus and not being everything to everyone. And the days of 5-page menus
yes, if that's your thing, yes. But if you want to get down, labor is not going down. Food costs are not going down. So to streamline and maybe look at the menu and things that maybe aren't they're not your top sellers and they're not helping the bottom line. Maybe you look at streamlining because it reduces the inventory that you have in the building and it streamlines the operations on the cook line and in prep.
And sometimes I think it's because some of these restaurants, Starbucks, maybe have lost their identity.
Sure.
Let's add this because we want to capture this little group. Let's add these drinks because we want to capture.
Well, another one in this was also Papa John. Because think of that, they're going to eliminate 10 items, but they started adding all kinds of items.
Yeah, salads and sandwiches.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But then you maybe start to lose your
Yeah.
core focus.
Sure.
So,
But and the other thing is technology. We embrace technology,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it's your assistant AI helping you with notes or helping write an email blast for us, or we're using Talk as our reservation platform,
Mm-hmm.
and we are able to capture so much data. And then what happens if we don't use the data properly?
Right.
And we've had that happen where people have made reservations. They put in there that it was their birthday or their anniversary, and shame on us. And, we've had probably 3 not so stellar Google reviews because they have identified that they are having a special occasion and we dropped the ball.
yeah, like you said, we're not perfect. And,
Right.
But you having the technology and not using it correctly
Right.
Doesn't do you any
I know.
good.
I
Right.
know.
So, and we're still learning and coaching and teaching and mentoring our teams. As we continue to get better as well. And there's a lot of those types of reservation systems out there.
Right.
But what you do with that, capturing that data, those
Correct.
names, those emails, those phone numbers, and then you can, market to them
Yeah.
very, very easily.
Sure. And so personal development. It's so important in our industry. And too often, I think that managers and owners and leaders get so focused on building the business that they forget they need to be building themselves, because your staff will only be as good as you, right? And there's so many opportunities for personal development. Whether it's listening to podcasts, reading books, there's so many good books, or hiring a coach. I mean, Donald
Yeah.
Burns was fantastic
He
when
was.
we
got a
worked
lot
with him.
from him.
Yeah, so personal growth and having that growth mindset, 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And making that part of your core values.
And then growing the people around you
Yes.
and mentoring. The biggest feather in my cap through my career is junior leaders that have been promoted
Mm-hmm.
under, and through partly my tutelage, right? But to see the GMs or
Mm-hmm.
area directors or managers that have,
Right.
come up through me, that's more powerful for me
Sure.
than any of the other accomplishments that I've had in this industry.
Yeah. And then it's also embracing a learning culture. So like you said, it's not just for us to learn, for our managers and our leaders, but it's for the young men and women that are coming up below them, and it's to create that learning culture to embrace it. And part of that is doing pre-shifts, part of it posting inspirational stuff to Sling, and really being better with the whole training program, and have training where people actually want to come to a training program.
Yeah, and you talked about personal development and just the energy of that leader inside the restaurant. You and I walk into a restaurant and just look at the faces of the
Right.
team members and where are their heads at, where are their eyes at, where's just you
Right.
can get a feel either positive or negative. And when you go into a restaurant, and that starts
Right.
with us, and it starts
Yeah.
with the leaders
And
inside the four
it
walls.
starts with being disciplined. Motivation fades, inspiration wanes. I mean, it's being disciplined. It's getting up every single morning to attack the day, and your mornings are where you win.
Yeah,
I
that's
truly
effing go.
believe
Yeah.
mornings are where you win. Being committed to whether it's working out or spending 10 minutes reading something every single
Yeah,
morning, getting
journaling
after
is
it,
important
not
to some
being
people.
hungover, not staying up all night playing video games and sleep until 2. You're not winning the mornings.
Yeah, and the world doesn't operate from
No.
10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
so-
It doesn't.
But yeah, getting better every day.
Yeah.
Whether you said,
Yeah.
I'm listening again to Unreasonable Hospitality,
Great
which
book.
I
Will
love.
Guidara.
And,
That's-
yeah,
yeah.
love. And and I tell my leaders as they read books,
Sure.
you're not gonna. Every single thing that you get out of that book doesn't fit for you, or your personality. But if you can get a couple of nuggets
Yep.
and relate those nuggets to, God, last week I had this one thing. I could have used that nugget on that one thing. Just keep listening. But a year from now, you've got so many nuggets, so many
1% better.
tools,
Like
in your
compounding
toolbox,
interest. Yes.
that you start to learn how to handle situations
Right.
inside the restaurant and
Yeah.
with guests, with people.
You build mental
with family.
resilience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everything. So only makes you stronger.
It does.
Yeah, critical.
Well, hey, we got to get set up. We got to buy
Yeah.
out of the restaurant. Little TPC action.
What's
and,
the shirt, man? What have we?
Look
we
at
got
this,
something coming
baby.
up?
You know what's coming up.
I
You know what's
love.
coming
Yeah,
up.
a
You
little-
see that?
little
This
St.
is
Patty's
my
Day
lucky
coming up.
drinking shirt.
I love
and
it.
luckily, I'm only
A little
drinking.
early to be wearing the lucky drinking shirt, isn't it?
We got all day.
We got all day.
We got all day.
I love it.
All right. Until
thanks,
next
man.
week.
Yeah,
you got
awesome.
it.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
bye.